So I've been thinking, what does it mean to be a disciple, right? What does it mean to be a disciple? Whether that's of a disciple of Jesus or a disciple of any other religion or philosophy. But to be a disciple means to be a student of and to grow in the teachings of whatever teacher you are going to follow, whatever philosophy you are going to follow. And as somebody who has been a pastor and has worked in churches and parachurch organizations, nonprofits, been a coach, I've worked in several different capacities over the years. And as I've been thinking about that, the other day I was writing and this came to mind, this idea of what is a disciple, and it's just being disciplined in a way of life, in a way of living. In Lives of the Stoics, Ryan Holiday talks about Aristo the Challenger, and at the end he puts it this way. He says, all that remains is how we lived our lives, how close we came to virtue in the moments that matter. And it really got me thinking about that what are the moments that matter? Well, the moments that matter, the only moment that matters is right now, the moment that we live in, because yesterday is gone, right? And the past is gone. 5 minutes ago is gone. I can't do anything about 5 minutes ago. I can make amends and reconcile that, but I can't relive that moment. And 10 minutes from now, an hour from now, 12 hours from now, tomorrow, next week, the future does not exist, right? All we have is right now. So all that matters is how we live right now in the moment that we are in. And as I've been thinking about that and how that relates to discipleship and what that means to be a disciple, I began thinking about the way of Jesus, that Jesus tells us to just come and follow him, that he's telling us to follow his way of living, his way of being, right? And that in the church world, discipleship has been programatized, it's been written about, it's had courses and lessons and all sorts of things built on it and wrapped up, put pretty little bows on it, and it's a multi-million-dollar a year subset of Christianity, of following Jesus. But in reality, what Jesus is telling us, and this applies for people that are Jesus followers and people that are not, that it's a great philosophy and discipline for life, is that Jesus would say, are you growing in love, right? Are you becoming a more loving person, right? And I look at love from Corinthians, right? That letter from Corinthians, that famous love scripture that I think most people know that Paul talks about. He says, love is patient, love is kind and is not jealous, does not brag and is not arrogant, does not act unbecomingly, it does not seek its own, it is not provoked, does not take into account a wrong suffered, does not rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices with the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails, right? And so we think about love in that aspect. That's that agape love, that contending for the highest possible good until it's a present tense reality, right? It's that agape love that is about giving, not getting. It's about that self-sacrificial love of living a life that elevates people, that brings people to life. And so as I was thinking about this, about discipleship, about being disciplined in a way of life, of following a way of life, whether you follow Jesus or not, if you follow that, if you follow this simple question of, am I becoming a more loving person? That is the most basic form of discipleship that any of us can follow. And so I was thinking about it and I was writing about it, and it's about embodying that agape life and just asking myself, are you becoming more patient? Okay. What unmet expectation is making you impatient? When you're in traffic, whenever you're trying to get somewhere, why are you rushed? What are you rushed for? Whose timeline are you following? Like when we feel impatient, whose timeline are you following? What unmet need or what unmet expectation is making you impatient? What's happening that's making you impatient? Love is patient, love is kind. What are you growing in kindness, right? How are you treating your family, your friends, strangers, co-workers, the waiter, the waitress at the store or at the restaurant? Are you being kind to people, right? Are you growing in kindness? Do you treat the CEO and the janitor the same way, with the same respect? It does not envy. Love does not envy. Is envy burning within you? Are you longing for more than what you have, for things that belong to somebody else? Why? And then why are you discontent? Where is the discontentment coming from? What unmet need is there that is causing discontentment? What makes you think that person is any happier with the possession that you want than you are currently? Right? Why is that envy burning in you? And so as we're growing in love, we can ask ourselves these questions. Do you continue to boast, right? Love, true love, agape love does not boast, right? And so do you continue to boast? Are you too self-centric with your focus and with your praise? Focusing on yourself, boasting in your own accomplishments. Are your accomplishments truly any better than somebody else's? In the big scheme of life, no, right? What are you arrogant about? True love, agape love, is not arrogant. It does not boast. It is not arrogant. Why are you arrogant? Why are you still arrogant? You are human, just like every other human and so what makes you better than any other human? Right? So how can we be arrogant if we are human just like any other human? Pride and arrogance come before the fall. And thinking about that of like, if I think of myself as better than any other human in any way, I'm failing in growing in love, right? Love does not seek its own. And so asking just, are you still seeking your own? Asking this of yourself. The whole point of agape love and that Christ consciousness, that self-emptying, that kenosis is not self-seeking, right? It's seeking the good of others, right? It's becoming more loving in every area of our lives. The great mystics have understood life and love is about considering others more highly than yourself. Paul talks about this someplace else in Philippians, where he says, consider others more highly than yourself. Am I growing in love and considering others more highly than myself? Not that I can't think about myself, that I can't think about my own needs and my own desires and my own wants. But am I being generous in how I think about life, about other people, that how my actions and my decisions impact other people? Love is not easily provoked. Am I being easily provoked? Is the guy that cut me off in traffic, is that really that bad that I'm gonna get fired up and start screaming and cussing and flipping them off and driving erratically? Why am I being so easily provoked? Did your child's resistance threaten you? Did that threaten your adulthood, your authority somehow? Did those comments from people online that disagree with you, did they unsettle you so bad as to cause you actual harm? That you are so easily provoked? But if you allow these things to provoke you, you are actually complicit in their attacks, because you have allowed those attacks, you have allowed those resistances, you have allowed those things, those offenses to provoke you. You've allowed them to. And that puts the impetus of the burden on us, not on somebody else, right? They can only provoke you if you allow them to. Right? And so Paul continues to go on. He says, are you still keeping records of wrong? Or he says, love keeps no records of wrong. And so discipleship is asking ourselves and asking myself, are you still keeping records of wrongs? Right? What is the point of keeping a score sheet? What is the point of keeping a score sheet? So that you can win? Right? What's the prize? What do we win with keeping the score sheet of life, of keeping that record of wrongs? Do we win something? Do we win a prize, a trophy? Right? At the end of the day, we all win something. We all win a grave. So what does it matter in keeping that record of wrong, right? There's that old adage that says that bitterness and unresolved issues and resentment and keeping track of those wrongs is like drinking poison and then expecting it to kill the other person. No, it's killing us on the inside, right? Having those negative emotions, having those negative feelings inside, trapped inside of us, because we're holding on to that. We're harnessing that wrong by keeping that record sheet of every time somebody wronged us, instead of living a life of forgiveness and letting go, letting things go, right? That you're complicit in those attacks against you whenever you keep that record sheet, whenever you're keeping that record of wrongs. It says, love does not rejoice with unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth. And this one, whenever I was thinking about this and writing to myself, that rejoicing doesn't have to be a celebration, rejoicing with unrighteousness, right? That it doesn't have to be a celebration. It can also be silence in the face of injustice. And so as I think about my own life, where have I been silent in the face of injustice? Am I becoming a more loving person by rejoicing with the truth, rejoicing with justice, right? And with love? And finally, it says, are you, that love bears all things, it hopes all things, it believes all things, it endures all things, right? And so I ask myself, are you bearing all things? Are you believing all things? Are you hoping and enduring all things? Are you believing for the best in every situation, right? Are you giving the most generous interpretation, as Becky Kennedy puts it in Good Inside? It is not enduring if you're just complaining the whole way. It's not about what you endure, but how you endure it, right? That is what discipleship becomes about. It's not what you endure, but how you endure it through that process. Are you giving that most generous interpretation? Where have you failed to hope and believe for the best? Where have I failed to hope and believe for the best in people and in situations and in circumstances, right? And that this is what discipleship is that it's growing in love. Will we follow that path, right? Jesus didn't teach discipleship 101. Paul didn't continue on with discipleship 102. Jesus said, come and follow me, right? Follow this way of living, this way of thinking, this way of interacting with the world around you, right? My lead mentor, Len Sweet, he tells it, he has this way of putting it that he said, Jesus didn't come to teach us to be more divine, right? How to be God. He taught us and he came to teach us how to be more human, right? And the way we be more human is how we grow in love. Are we going to follow that path of Jesus, of growing in love, right? And even Paul goes on to talk about it, and he says, don't follow me, or don't try to do this. He says, follow me as I follow Jesus, right? I'm just following that guy, so follow me and we're going to follow that guy, right? And so Jesus came to show us how to be more human, and we become more human by growing in love, by being more patient, by being kind, by not being arrogant, by not being envious, by not boasting about ourselves and our own accomplishments, by not being easily provoked, by not keeping records of wrongs. We have to grow in these things, right? It's not overnight. It's not an overnight process, right? And so this is where classes and books and all the things about discipleship, I think, fall short is that when it comes down to it, are you becoming a more loving person? Am I becoming a more loving person, right? That's what we have to ask ourselves. Are we becoming more loving people? Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is how close we came to virtue, right? That virtue of love. How close do we come to virtue in the moments that matter most, right? And the only moment that matters most is right now. And listen, this is not to say that I have it all figured out. I am still trying to hold myself accountable to grow in love every day and in every